There's a particular ache that doesn't howl, it hums. It shows up in quiet rooms and checkout lines, in the pause before you say, "I'm fine." It's the sting you feel when someone your age does the thing you once promised yourself you would do, and you tell yourself a nice story about timing. You become a museum of almosts. Tickets are free, gift shop is stocked with reasons, and yet, somewhere behind your ribs, a door you never opened keeps knocking. Tonight isn't about shaming the years you survived. It's about naming the places you ghosted yourself, why you did, and how to return. We'll look at the psychology of unlived life, the protective myths we build, the nervous system physics underneath our later, the grief that keeps us honest, and a small, repeatable practice for moving from ache into action without burning your life down. You don't need a new life, just a truer relationship with this one. Picture a drawer in your home that you don't open. Inside are flyers from classes you didn't take, notes for projects you swore you'd start when things settled, and an old pair of running shoes that still look brand new because they are. On top sits a list titled "Someday," written in a version of your handwriting that believed in you. You were going to learn Italian because you wanted to order coffee like a poem. You were going to send that essay. You were going to stop performing friendliness to people who don't treat you like a person. You were going to leave, or stay, and finally decorate the staying. But the month became a year. The year sprouted excuses like weeds. You learned to be proud of reliability. You learned the art of being indispensable at things you didn't choose. You told yourself that meaning lives inside duty, and you are, if nothing else, devoted. You started mistaking depletion for proof that you're good. And the ache, it never yelled. It negotiated. "Not now," it said. "Soon," you said back. Here's the truth that stings but saves. Unlived life doesn't disappear. It compounds. It compounds into resentment toward the people who ask for your time, into jealousy disguised as critique toward the people who risk, into numbness that you call maturity. It compounds into a life that looks right from the street and feels wrong in the bones. If any part of you sees yourself here, tell me in the comments. What sits in your someday drawer? Not the whole story, just a word or two. Language, novel, Sunday lunch with friends. I want to know what your ache is called. There are 4 engines under an unlived life. They're not moral failures. They're survival strategies that overstayed their welcome. If we can see them without flinching, we can loosen their hold. The psyche is a brilliant storyteller. When we are young or simply scared, we build myths that keep us intact. Later we'll be safer. When I lose weight, finish school, make enough money, I'll start. If I become so useful they can't imagine losing me, then I'll earn my permission to go. These are not lies in the villain sense. They're sandbags against a flood. They let you stay connected to family or a partner or a culture that punishes deviation. The cost is delayed aliveness. Protective myths often carry the perfume of virtue. They sound responsible. But ask yourself this: does my myth reduce my anxiety or reduce my life? If it only ever shrinks your options in the name of peace, it's not peace, it's paralysis wearing a tie. Myths protect until they imprison. A signal you're crossing that line is language that keeps getting more conditional. Once then I'll, forever. Your body is not an obstacle to your dreams, it's the gatekeeper. Pursuing something meaningful is arousing. It raises stakes, heart rate, and visibility. If your history taught you that visibility invites criticism or abandonment, your nervous system will call danger on anything that risks being seen. Of course you tidy the house before you write. Of course you agree to extra shifts instead of emailing the director. That's not laziness, that's protection. Here's a helpful reframe. Your procrastination is a genius regulator. It prevents overwhelming activation by steering you back into familiar grooves. The trick isn't to bully the system, it's to work with it. Expansion must be dosed like medicine. Too much too soon isn't bravery. It's self-betrayal in a cape. The body trusts increments. Ask any physical therapist. We heal in tolerable ranges. Unlived life often hides inside unconscious contracts, loyalties adopted to keep love. Maybe your family believes artists are selfish, entrepreneurs are delusional, people who leave are ungrateful. Maybe they praised you for being so steady while mocking people who chase fantasies. Without realizing it, you swore to stay small enough to belong. You became the reliable one, the fixer, the person who doesn't have needs, just solutions. The problem is that your gifts migrated toward performance instead of expression. You grew muscles for carrying, not creating. Shadow commitments have a tell. Your no is always more accessible when it protects someone else. Your yes is always available when it cost you. You don't ask, do I want this? You ask, will this keep the room calm? Loyalty is beautiful when it's chosen. When it's inherited without consent, it's a cage made of compliments. This might be the hardest. Every real decision is a small funeral. To choose the book is to bury the fantasy of being the person who might write it someday, without proof. To marry this path is to grieve the versions of you who would have explored others. Many of us delay life because grief is honest and honesty is loud. We prefer the soft lie of later to the sharp truth of not that. But unlived life is just grief accrued with interest. You will pay in resentment, in envy, in a life that never quite fits, what you are unwilling to pay in tears. So what do we do with all this? Not a rebrand, not a 90-day transformation. We start with small renegotiations, like turning to the ache and saying, you belong here, I won't outsource you to retirement. A small story. A friend of mine kept a cello under her bed for 11 years. She called it her "when I'm done" instrument, done with caregiving, debt, and the job that turned her weekends into paperwork. She believed silence was respect for her circumstances. One night, after a long day of being excellent for everyone else, she pulled it out at 2 a.m. and played a single note. The note was not pretty. It sounded like something waking up after a long sleep. Creaky, stubborn, revealing. She cried into that one note for an hour. It didn't fix anything, but the next week she scheduled a monthly lesson she could afford. 3 years later, she doesn't play concerts. She plays in her living room. The house feels different now, like someone moved in who had been knocking for a decade. What changed? Not her talent, her contract. She replaced the gospel of later with a smaller, truer liturgy. While life is still hard, I get one note. She learned the rhythm of tolerable expansion. She let grief sit beside her as she practiced, because every song she learns is a song she didn't learn earlier. And she found out that loyalty can expand to include herself. Let's get even more practical, because the ache loves vague poetry and hates calendars. 3 psychological moves unlock momentum. Move A. Shrink the door, not the dream. Stop arguing with your body about the size of the doorway. Keep your dream as big as it needs to be, but make the entry ridiculous. 10 minutes, 1 paragraph, 1 email drafted, not sent, 1 phone call rehearsed, not made. Neuroscience calls this reducing activation energy. Spiritually, it feels like mercy. The point isn't to win, it's to begin. The brain will supply shame, you supply specificity. Move B. Replace outcome fantasies with process romance. Unlived life feeds off fantasy, the book launch, the perfect accent in Rome, the applause. Fantasies are fun until they become a standard you must meet on day 1. Process romance is different. It's the willingness to fall in love with the unphotogenic parts. Early mornings that produce 1 true sentence, scales that sound like a cat revolt, practicing no to a harmless request and feeling shaky for 20 minutes. If you can romanticize repetition, you will outlast people with more talent and less tolerance for boredom. Move C. Draft the new contract, out loud. Write 1 paragraph titled, "Terms of My Aliveness," dated this week, signed by your full name. Include 3 lines, who I will disappoint, inevitably, how I will regulate, specifically, where I will practice, concretely. Say it aloud in an empty room. You're not manifesting, you're memorializing consent with your life. Contracts want witnesses. Let the walls witness you. You might be wondering, isn't this selfish? There's a huge difference between being self-led and being selfish. Selfishness hoards, self-leadership stewards. People who begin to live often become more generous because they're not tithing their life to resentment. They give from a river, not a sponge. There's also the fear of being too late. But late compared to whom? The ache loves math. Aliveness prefers music. Some seasons are germination, a lot happening underground. Some seasons are bloom. Your job isn't to win the calendar, it's to honor the climate of your actual life. What about responsibility? Kids, elders, bills? Living doesn't mean abandoning, it means integrating. Your cello might be a notebook in the car during halftime. Your Italian might be 5 minutes of Duolingo whispered over dishes. Your culinary school might start as hosting one friend a month for soup. The unlived life that becomes lived is rarely dramatic. It's consistent, almost boring, and holy in how it changes the temperature of a home. And yes, there will be pushback. Systems organize around the version of you they can predict. When you become less predictable, less available for every gap-filling task, others may interpret it as rejection. It's not. It's redistribution. At first, they will say you're different. Later, some will thank you. A few won't. Let both be true. Let's walk it, moment by moment, as if we were building a staircase no one can see, but you can feel under your feet. Day 1 to 3, inventory without edits. Open the drawer, list every someday in nouns, not novels. Novel, moi. Garden, run, Sunday dinners, apply, leave, learn, sing. Say each out loud. Notice the ones that light your chest versus the ones that only impress your neighbors. Circle 3. Not forever, just for this season. Day 4-7. Pick one door and shrink it. Choose one circle. Name a 10-minute act that touches the real thing. Touch, not plan. If it's writing, write a messy paragraph, not an outline for the year. If it's language, whisper verbs while brushing your teeth. If it's leaving, list 3 apartments you can afford. Don't call yet. The win condition is contact, not quality. Week 2, draft the contract. Terms of my aliveness gets written and read aloud. Include who I will disappoint. I will disappoint the version of me who only says yes. I will disappoint the co-worker who expects instant replies. I will disappoint the myth that I'm tireless. How I will regulate. Box breathing before and after 10-minute acts. Text a friend a selfie of the act, not the result. Where I will practice. Kitchen table at 7:40 a.m. with phone in another room every Tuesday lunch in the park. Third Thursday cello lesson at 20 Alfon. Week 3 to 4. Grief appointments. Schedule 20 minutes a week to feel the cost. Put it on your calendar with a gentle name. Honest time. Bring a blanket and a glass of water. Write, I wish I'd started earlier because... Let yourself be raw, not performative. Then write, given that I didn't, today I can. Close with one tiny act. Grief is fuel when metabolized. Month 2. Boundary rehearsals. Practice a script. I can't, I'm committed that hour. That's it. No biography. People who punish boundaries are proof you needed them. Rehearsal matters because your nervous system isn't persuaded by slogans. It wants muscle memory. Say it to a mirror until your throat doesn't burn. Month 3. Process romance ritual. Create a small ritual that marks the moment you begin. Same mug, same playlist, a single candle. Teach your body, when this mug is warm, we are safe to try. Rituals communicate safety faster than pep talks. Relapse provision. You will stop. Not once, often. The week will tip over you. Someone will get sick. You will lose nerve. This is not failure. It's a signal to shrink the door further. When you miss, your only job is to re-enter at the smallest dosage you can stand. Aliveness is cumulative, not fragile. Missing a week proves nothing except that you're alive in a life with gravity. Before we close, save this video or jot the following somewhere visible, your 3-line living script. Shrink the door, not the dream. Romance the process, not the applause. Draft, read, and revisit the contract. If this landed, hit save so you can return to it on those ordinary Wednesdays when courage feels expensive. Here's the soft landing I want for you. The ache doesn't need to vanish for life to begin. The ache is proof you're still in conversation with yourself. It's the tug on your sleeve when you start confusing a crowded calendar with a meaningful life. Tonight, give the ache a chair. Ask what it wants in one word. Then give that word 10 minutes and the dignity of being real. If you've been waiting for a sign, it won't be neon. It will be boring and faithful and repeated. You will make soup for 2 and call it hospitality school. You will write a paragraph and call it a page because it is. You will say, I can't. I'm committed that hour, and sit with your shaking until it becomes applause from the inside. Your home will feel different, not because you bought new furniture, but because someone moved back in. Subscribe if you want more gentle, honest maps like this, small ramps toward the life that fits your actual soul. From later to now, from almost to alive, from ache to act.